let's do a front camera view. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, um, I always wanted to dis- I always wanted to discuss this topic and everything. So I am very into anime, right? But that was not always the case when I first started as a kid. So my introduction to anime was not even Dragon Ball Z or any of that stuff. That came way late. That didn't even come before Toonami. Um, my cousins in New York, along with like my brother and them, they introduced me to anime without me realizing it was anime because I was a very simple child, and I still am a very simple person. If you have cartoons on, especially when I was a kid, I will sit down and watch. It might not be cartoons I'm supposed to be watching, but I will sit there and be quiet and watch. So I was a very easy child to watch, unless I decided I wanted to become a menace. But before I digress, so my real introductions to anime was the Fatal Fairy movie, then Fist of the North Star, then yeah, it was Street Fighter Two, yeah, Street Fighter the movie, the animated movie. Those were like pretty much my intros, and then there was another anime that got banned, and I'm not going to talk about that because terms of service. All I'm saying is there is no reason for a child to be watching that certain anime, so we're just going to skip that one. So, but here's the thing: I didn't know what Dragon Ball Z was be when I was a kid, and I stumbled upon it with my cousins because they had the VHSs. If you're as old as me, I'm about to show my age. I'm about to like reveal my age in this one. If you're around my age, you might remember those type of VHS where it had like all the Dragon Ball, like all the DBZ movie, like all the DBZ series, the entire series from beginning to end. But the cassettes made a design of Shenron going across and everything. If you had all of them correctly, if you had them all in place, like if you put them all in place, Shenron was like the front cover of it. If you open it and everything, like it was that whole box set. I wish I still had it because it was like, I think it was like some of the most jankiest translations ever. But so I just remember, I didn't know at the time. I remember I just, I'm a kid. I barge into my cousin's room and stuff. He yells at me, says knock. He makes me close the door, knock, and then I come in because you're not allowed to be rude, especially as a kid and everything. I I'll get beat for that. I'll get beat up so much. But anyway, so so we're watching. I look over. I just see two blonde people fighting, right? Like two people with blonde hair and everything fighting. I didn't know that was Vegeta versus the end before. I didn't know that was Vegeta versus 18 during the time. So, and I thought it was boring. So I left. I had other things to do. I wanted to watch different cartoons. So I didn't worry about that. Fast forward maybe a year or two later, right? So it appears Dragon Ball Z appears again on um, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it appears again on what would be WB just before WB was a thing. So like I can't remember what like the actual channel is for that shit, but it used to come on super early in the morning, and it was the Ocean dub, and it started in the middle of the Saiyan saga. So Goku was on his way back, and they were about to fight Nappa. So the Z Warriors were about to fight Nappa. So I was really confused because I was just cleaning my room in the middle, early in the morning on a summer day, summer weekend, and all that, and it was just on. And I just remember I seen Gohan as a kid. So as a kid, you got to think about this as a kid. So as a kid, I just saw another kid with a cape, blue gi, a green alien, a person with three eyes, and a ghost, a short ghost, a bald headed little guy, and then Yamcha was dead at this point, so I didn't get to see Yamcha. So I'm utterly confused, but in my mind I'm just like, is this like some magic show? Is this just like some magic show that they're doing or something? I'm like, this looks weird. I didn't care much for it, but it was because of the music reminded me of Power Rangers. Because the music score was pretty much Power Rangers for me, that it kept me interested, but it was more background noise for me as I was just cleaning up my room and stuff, because I got yelled at the day before to clean up my room. So I woke up and that was like the first thing I did. So then I just remember like they start fighting and everything, and that's when I was like, oh, I got hooked. I'm gonna tell you exactly what hooked me directly though. Goku arrives, but they call him Kakarot, and I had no idea what was going on still. It was when he did Kaioken times 3, and when he hit Vegeta, he made like that wild cat noise. And that was what hooked me in, because right after that, during that time, everything else, I really didn't care much. Tien's voice actor, when he lost his arm, he's like, wait till it grows back. And I was just like, that's corny. Like, I was so skeptical. I was so skeptical about that stuff, man. I was just like, as a kid, I was like, man, this is just trash. So, like, Ocean Dub, the only saving grace that you guys had me hooked on was your Goku's voice actor. And obviously, when Kaioken times 3 happened, and then the beam clash. It was the beam clash into Vegeta turning into a grade 8. I was hooked after that. I was definitely hooked after that. But, and then like pretty much the rest was history. But what also really drove me, because during that time, Ocean Dub did not do the Namek arc all the way. Like, it stopped after, like, Goku fights Recoome. But what else they did though, because it made me believe for the longest time and it left me confused, they used to break down the movies as episodes. So they used to have the Tree of Might as episodes instead of like a full movie. But they would marathon it. And that would always confuse me as a kid, because I'm just like, weren't they just on a different planet? Like, they're flying through space. Aren't these guys dead? I'm just like, what's going on here? I'm like, why does Goku know Spirit Bomb at this point? Where's Vegeta in there? I was like, what happened? So, it was very confusing. Also, know you were confusing a lot of your fans back then, bro. But this video is dragging on too long. I'm probably gonna cut this down. But it was so interesting just thinking about it that way, because it was just like, man, had I decided to change the channel, I probably would not be in love with Dragon Ball Z as much as I am now. Because one, I used to always wake up early in the morning just so I can watch the next episode, because they would always go back and repeat. But for whatever reason, they never showed Raditz in them. They never showed like the beginning where Goku and Piccolo fought Raditz. So it was always weird, because when like they were doing the flashbacks and stuff and showing like Dragon Ball clips, I was like, what's going on? Who is this dude with the mustache? Who is this human being that's speaking some random language and everything? What's this got to do with anything of the story? Was it Namekian? Who Piccolo? Like, all this stuff was happening, and then like, but it was sweet though, because when I remember because I remember as a kid growing up, man, I used to like imitate Vegeta's rage scene when he finds out that Gohan stole the Dragon Ball from him, and he finds out that that was a Dragon Ball locator, and he's like flying off, like, I'll get you for this dude. But like, when I used to take baths as a kid, I would go underwater and I would do that. Like, I would be screaming, like doing power ups under the water, so like no one could hear me scream because I didn't want to get in trouble. Oh man, I was doing all types of stuff. I always used to put my hands up, do the chant, like, the trees, the animals, everybody, listen to me. Please send me your energy. Like, whatever the Ocean of Goku was doing back in the day. And like, since like I had my hands up for so long, and it would start to tingle, I'd be like, as a kid, I was like, it's working, it's working. And then like I'll try to form it into a ball. Man, I was hooked. I was hooked. But yeah, that was how like my intro was into Dragon Ball, bro. Like, I almost clicked off of that as a kid, man. And I probably would not have cared if it was on Toonami afterwards. But when I found out that they were going to do like the next season of Namek, that's when like a lot of history changed. But I also remember when like the music changed because Funimation took over, and it had like the whole Bruce Faulkner score and like all those guys that worked with Bruce Faulkner. But I remember too, though, during that transition, I didn't like Piccolo's, Vegeta's voice. I didn't like Goku's voice change. I didn't like the one that I really didn't like the most was Krillin's, because I felt like it was Krillin's and Raccoon's. I enjoyed the other Raccoons. I enjoyed the Ocean Dub Raccoon one because it was more like of the deep voice and everything, and it just felt right. And he was flowing with the rhymes and everything. So, because it's like, the name is Raccoon, it rhymes with doom, and don't be worried because it'll be over soon. Like, that was the shit back then. That was the shit back then. Like, he had like they had like the good voice, but there is another thing that I always found hilarious with Ocean Dub. And if you ever watch Ocean Dub again, especially the movies, the way that they were trying to show you that these guys were villains was they would always have the side characters snicker for no reason. Like, they'd just be giggling like like and I'm just like, bro, I'm like, ain't nothing that damn funny even as a villain. Like, they're all just laughing and everything. But yeah, all right, damn, this video's long. But yeah, that's pretty much how like I was pretty much introduced into anime and Dragon Ball Z as a whole and stuff. And I'm glad, bro. Like, shout outs to my cousins and my brother that always like, they were forced to watch me and stuff, so I was forced to watch what they were watching or do what they did. And I'm glad that they were anime nerds. I was glad that they were nerds too in that sense. But yeah, that's pretty much how that's going. Thank y'all for listening to me rambling. All right, I'll see you in the next part. Bye.